Hello there. Just as the Chancellor rubs his hands together, thinking about all that new tax money coming in next year, someone comes up with a wizard wheeze to bypass the rules. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and then like and comment below. Funny that while the UK government is intent on hitting the talented and the go-getters with more tax, another government is out there trying to attract talent, and I don't mean cheap labour. Do you want to work in sunnier climes and pay less tax than in the UK, as well as half the tax that the locals pay? Then this might be for you. Spain has come up with a digital nomad scheme where a UK worker can get a special visa to work from home in Spain while working for a foreign employer. It starts early next year and they can take spouses and children with them. And actually it's wider than just the UK. Spain is looking to attract talent, and one way is to get those who can work from anywhere in high tech, so-called digital nomads, and get them to live in Spain but pay less tax than Spaniards. So they are offering a 1-year visa for those people to live in Spain while working from home for a foreign employer. They can then earn the right to 5 years residency or even make it permanent. And although available to anyone outside Spain, it is mainly aimed at non-EEA nationals, including the UK of course, as well as Spaniards who have been non-resident for 5 years or more, and they would all pay the lower non-resident tax rates. And due to the tax treaty agreed between London and Madrid that endures post-Brexit, there'd be no UK tax to pay. But presumably when they do get residence, they'll be put on the full local rates of tax. So while the politics of envy runs rife in the UK, in Spain they are realising that taxing talent is not the way to foster growth. Sounds like Liz Truss has got a new job advising the Spanish government. And as I said, they're after digital talent, not cheap labour. We in the UK, though, seem intent on doing the opposite, all driven by short-term, profit-hungry corporate CEOs. Now, the one question I have here is what do those high-tech Spaniards already working in Spain think about this? They're doing the same job, but will be getting taxed more. So if the UK, and maybe other countries, were to do the same, would we all not just end up swapping digital nomads and only getting half the tax we were getting? Maybe the UK should start such a scheme for city banker types. That could be a game changer. Now, I'm not sure what the EU Commission has to say about this. Has Ursula von der Leyen signed this off for Spain? But surely if this ends up causing a UK tech brain drain from the UK to Spain, it all just proves that heaping the tax burden too high on those with the wherewithal to move out is a non-starter. Going on the back of news that Total Energies is reducing North Sea investment because of the increased windfall tax, something I talked about in a recent video, it must now be obvious to even the most ardent communist that taxing the productive too high is an act of self-harm. Are we now seeing the Laffer curve start to kick in? Is it time for Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt to have a rethink before the whole thing goes belly up? Or is that the plan? Interestingly, talking about digital skills, the Open University conducted a survey last year and found that over 3/4 of IT employers were struggling to recruit people with adequate digital skills. Furthermore, 62% of respondents said they were also struggling to upskill their existing employees with adequate digital skills, it went on to say. And the Director of Employer Propositions at the Open University, Chris Hogan, said in a recent speech to the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, Increasingly, I'm hearing much more about the challenges that the digital capability gap is causing for organisations, including limited growth options, not being able to bid for work, not being able to win business, loss of market share, compliance risk, and people getting frustrated with the lack of digital capability development and delivery. What gets me about this is that since Blair's education, 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 we've been churning out highly educated people by the truckload in the UK. Or should I say, people with lots of certificates. Because judging by what Chris Hogan said, they don't seem to have the skills we need here in the UK. Just recently there was a report that the big companies are no longer asking for applicants with 2-1 degrees or better, because too many people are getting them nowadays. So they are now conducting their own aptitude tests to differentiate and choose the best applicants for their firm. It seems they no longer trust the university results. Back in August, the BBC reported, PwC, one of the UK's largest graduate employers, has said it will no longer just look for new recruits with a first or 2-1 degree. The accountancy firm said accepting applicants with lower second-class degrees would help increase the socio-economic diversity of its workforce. Talent and potential is determined by more than academic grades, PwC said. And now, the Institute for Student Employers says that the number of employers stipulating a 2-1 degree has dropped from 57% in 2021 to 48% in 2022. So there you have it. The more people that have better degrees, the less of a measure of true talent they become, especially with grade inflation. And people wonder why so many foreign students come to the UK. When you pay for a degree course, then the student is the customer, and the seller, the university, will want to give them exactly what they want so as to attract more customers. It appears to me that all we've managed to do is create a very large factory, churning out diplomas. Now, that great fan of the European Union, the anti-Brexit boss of Ryanair, Michael O'Leary, is now lambasting the EU Commission and Council of Ministers for favouring the rich. He is upset that the EU is only making short-haul carriers within the EU participate in the carbon emissions trading scheme. It is manifestly unfair that only short-haul flights within Europe are paying 100% of environmental taxes. Long-haul flights continue to be exempt, despite the fact that long-haul flights account for about 6% of passengers but 54% of CO2 emissions, he said. I think he's catching on. And he went on to moan about the EU Commission and Council under the influence of Berlin, Paris and Amsterdam, saying about them, "No, we want to continue to exempt the most polluting flights used by the richest people travelling to and from Europe." And then in a swipe at the whole EU setup, he said, "That's what lobbying gets you in the marble halls of Brussels." Sounds like something Nigel Farage might have said. And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.